Yo, what's going down? Really, really excited getting to sit and talk and stand and talk because there's no chairs with Mr. Richie Forde. Mr. Forde, what's going down?
What's up?
Not up. So we just finished seminar down here in Cardiff.
Yeah, really good.
Man, I really, really enjoyed that. I'm not going to lie, this isn't just, blowing smoke or whatever. It was really good crack, and it's such a different philosophy. This idea that you're bringing out, and you see it. If anyone's following you on the TkdCoachAcademy, go follow, or Irish Taekwon-Do. It's that's the way you're doing at the moment, and it's this whole non-prescriptive way of teaching, right?
Yeah.
It's not the sort of traditional stand in the lines, do this forever and then that'll make you a fighter,
Yeah. I guess it's contemporary, I guess is the word, isn't it?
Yeah. But it's backed as well. It's not just an idea in your head, right? You've obviously done your work and your homework on it. A lot of the times you can see that come through with people and they go, this is the latest, greatest 5-minute abs or 5-second flexibility, and it's just make-believe, but there's hard and fast evidence behind what you're doing. And
there has to be research for me for something to be worth doing and worthwhile, because everybody has their opinion, but the results speak for themselves.
Fact, right? And we can see that now. I mean, I don't know, how long has these Cork up for in Ireland?
Maybe 4 or 5 years. 4 or 5 years.
Yeah. A few black belts, coming now and breaking into the national team circuit.
Yeah.
And also the club is breaking the leaderboards. That was traditionally dominated by 2 or 3 clubs, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, that's evidence in itself, and that's really cool to see. I mean, where did it come from? Because I know you have a pedigree in competing yourself.
Yeah. It initially started, just curiosity.
Yeah.
Reading about coaching, I've always done it forever, as long as I can remember. It's just been reading videos, podcasts, whatever, you name it. And whatever happened, it just led me down this road of kind of a game sense approach, but not a game sense approach, because I don't think it's that applicable to ITF Taekwondo martial arts. The main reason really is because I couldn't find any information based on the stuff I was reading in sports,
right.
Like rugby, soccer, these team sports. There was nothing available for any martial art, never mind say boxing or anything else, never mind go to Taekwondo. So basically I started to dig deeper, get down the rabbit hole, as they say.
Yeah. And was there one seminal thing that you read where this light bulb moment went off for you? Or?
There was a podcast that I happened to come by, the Talent Equation.
Okay.
And I think that fueled everything for me.
Right.
And that led me to become more aware of other people in the industry. Like Twitter is massive for this whole idea. Yeah, absolutely unbelievable. There's unbelievable amount of podcasts, books, all these things. The information is there, but I just needed to bring it into Taekwondo.
Yeah.
Having that experience, I guess, from competing for a long time helped in terms of I was able to translate it in. I know Mr. Adrian Byrne has a lot of work done on this type of work as well, and I know that he bases a lot of his sessions, especially the national team sessions, on this. So that's where the Taekwondo TkdCoachAcademy came from. Just 2 minds that are similar that way. And we would go back and forth throwing ideas here and there. And basically it was just about the main thing that is just how can we be as efficient as possible when we teach. The idea of hitting pads, but then it never translates to a competition or whatever is not ideal, because I've been in that situation for such a long time. We would spend months and months and months drilling certain scenarios and techniques, and then you go to the competition and fight and it doesn't happen.
Suddenly 360 to flying reverse hook kick isn't the best choice.
Exactly. So instead we went with the approach of maybe training scenarios and sequences where you can facilitate certain problems and things like that. Of course we went into it in depth in the seminar there a while ago.
There's loads to take on.
Exactly, so it's a big thing for sure.
Yeah, but I mean that's the thing, right? I mean I was even only thinking about it and talking about it recently myself, that it's this translation from method to application and theory to application. And application is the end result,
And you just gotta ask yourself, why? When you do stuff,
why am I doing this?
As I said below, we're not teaching fitness classes. We're not fitness instructors. We're here to provide people to push forward their martial arts in specific to Taekwondo training.
Yeah, I mean I think that's something that maybe instructors fall into the trap of, I know I certainly did when I first started, if I can make someone tired and they're wrecked and they're sweating and they leave feeling great because they've had a good workout.
And even the new fancy technique that you see on the internet that looks great and that's a good drill and exercise, I'm on that. And maybe it's not the best use of time. Of course, it's needed to keep people fresh and engaged and for people to understand things like spinning and all these lovely techniques, but at the same time you got to be practical. I know John Kavanagh is big on that. He says, show me what works and the sequences and scenarios that are most common, and we will put most of our time in that. Like there's the rule on that, the 80-20 rule. It's big in economics and all these things, and you know.
I mean, that's really interesting. You talk down below about common problems. Right, and I mean that's something I think you'd be really interested to dig deep on, because a lot of instructors, myself especially, I don't have that historical pedigree of fighting with the best in the world and playing at that level, so I definitely think there's gaps in my knowledge that I want to plug, you know. I mean, what for you are the common problems that you see in ITF sparring that you always try to address across the board, maybe from a young grade up to the much higher level, you know?
Well, you can just break it down simply, just the transitions. Going from static to an attack to defense. It's the transitions, the exits and the entries is where people are either doing well in or need a bit more work.
Boom, boom, boom.
Instead of... But even the continuations of going from hands to legs. And influencing, mixing both together, mixing and matching. I think it's the transitions of change is where it is.
It's really interesting that you say it's the transitions, because you know, if you think about the patterns that we do, and we're so big on relax and all of this, it's not just here to here magically, but we don't link that in sparring sometimes. It's really strange.
Absolutely.
And I think, like you say, because we've drilled, but we've never drilled the exit and we've never drilled the recovery. And
it's the transitions of how you're getting there. So how do you break this distance to get into range, to make techniques? And a lot of times there's no real drills that you can do for that. You need to put yourself in that environment continuously in a variable way, you know, and that's the key as such.
Absolutely, you know, I always liken it to a musician for so many ways, you know. There's so many similarities, and I know from playing music a long time, you know, you practice your scales and you practice your piece and you play your piece, and that classical musicians are desperate for this. You know, they spend years and years playing, and you sit down in a room and say, play this song, so I have no music. I can't play it, I can't. Or you mean, do you want to jam? Can't. It's just, unless it's exactly as it's rehearsed and learned and wrote. It's
and as we spoke about down there, in martial arts and combat, it's never going to be the same case. If you pick 100 fights, the first 5 seconds will never be the exact same in any two. It's just so variable that you can't prepare for exact things, but you can prepare for common occurrences and sequences, and maybe prepare how to solve the bigger problems. The puzzle, exactly. The idea with this stuff is not to develop the technique so much. We get to a certain level where it's efficient enough that then we need to upgrade the software.
Close enough for jazz.
There you go.
Exactly, that's deadly. So I mean, I love that idea of, rather than it being completely flawless in every situation, it's good enough to go, right? It's good enough to go.
Results over results over the flash, and you know, once it's efficient enough, of course there's techniques that are going to be more efficient. Things like stepping on kicks are not going to be ideal because you're going to get counted very quickly. Of course, there are some general rules and guidelines there that we want to assess at a foundational level. But once you have that decent foundation, the problem I feel is people then stay with that type of training forever rather than improving their mental capacity. I think that's been a big success in Irish Taekwondo.
For sure, right?
Because we've been exposed to that from the likes of Mr. Byrne, developing clever fighters.
I remember being at a squad session before, and it was a game with psychic against the world or something. You know, they have only a psychic, or you know,
solving problem
correct things. You know, and it was situational against a constrained environment. You know,
and I think the big thing that people push away from this is for two reasons. One, games, traditional word, means you go play tag and you catch me and I catch you and we have fun. It's not about that.
No.
The game means you're trying to complete a task and so am I. That's what a game is
Yeah.
in its literal sense.
Yeah.
But you're trying to complete an objective that's related to sparring and so am I.
Yeah, because that's the game we want to
That's
get
the
better
game that
at.
we're playing at, exactly.
Yeah.
And also, of course, hitting lovely shots on gloves and training is very visually pleasing.
Yeah.
And as instructors, sometimes we fall into the trap of, because it feels good, I'm a good instructor now.
Yeah.
But maybe you're not getting the results.
Yeah.
So maybe the results are more important than how your sessions might look.
Yeah.
Like, it's a chaotic sport sparring. There's so much going on. It's chaotic, so your sessions should be somewhat chaotic as well. It shouldn't be so clean and appealing to the eye if you're doing it correctly.
Yeah, you know, when you break down fighting, right?
Yeah.
It's got to be dirty in certain places. Yeah.
Of course, as we say, there is that level that you need to break things down, and
Yeah.
these little small details are important. But when you get to the top, higher level, the tactical things, it should be chaotic.
Yeah, that's the beauty of it, that control and chaos, right?
There you go.
I just want to kind of keep that point, just because I find that a lot of the content on the internet is always kind of, it's guys doing, 540s over flaming buildings through hoops of sharks or whatever it might be, and it's great, and I love looking at it. I never going to do it. But like, to bring value to people who are maybe yellow or green, or instructors that have a big pool of that grade, and maybe aren't sparring guys, right? They've always been patterns people, or they've always been whatever, right? What are the kind of go-tos or important technical foundations that you think you need in ITF sparring? Do you know what I mean? Where do you place your bets, or where do you?
Yeah. Oh, well, for me, you need a solid foundation in terms of distance, timing, and decision making. Then you also have some physical things, like flexibility is very important, and the ability to kick at a decent level. Of course, if you want 3 points, you're going to need to be able to kick efficiently at least. Of course, you have footwork and movement, which is a massive part in ITF sparring. Probably one of the most, in terms of combat sports, is probably up there with one of the most like dynamic and movement based.
Yeah.
So for sure, that's very, very important. But in terms of techniques, it's getting that solid foundation of a good side kick, good hands, and being able to lead your hands from kicks and into kicks, and being able to move. It just goes back to that whole idea of hit without getting hit. That is the game.
I know, when you say it like that, it sounds so simple. That is the game. Right?
So if you can base your training on your students hitting and not getting hit, if you remember that, you're going well. You're on the right track.
That's cool. I mean, that's
it's so simple.
It's not, I know, right? It's so, and at the same time, it's outrageously frustrating.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's really, really cool. I think that brings loads of value to people that are listening or watching. But what about, let's dive into your own sort of side of things at the moment. Like, you're big on the TKD Coach Academy. It's just kind of exploding all over Instagram and stuff, and it's really taken off. And that's really kind of, so it puts you in a space now that lets you kind of talk with a relevant level of authority. Like, I mean,
that's true. Yeah. I guess being kind of younger in terms of the traditional coaches and things, it gives me a little bit of a platform to just express my opinions and share my knowledge. For me, I'm not trying to impose anything on anybody. Sure. I'm just trying to share my experience and my knowledge of the things. All the things that I've read and listened to, and I just want to share that with people. If they take it, great.
If they don't, great.
That's your choice.
I 100% agree that there's been a long time, it's always been shrouded in mysteries. Like, I cannot share the secrets of the.
Basically, we're documenting what we're doing. If you want to come along and learn from that, great. I think ego can be a big thing in martial arts, where
for sure. Right?
I've been a black belt for 50, 30 years, whatever, I know everything. And as we just spoke about before we started recording, evolve or die.
Evolve or die, yeah.
Evolve or die.
It is, and I mean, there's that balancing act between tradition and the importance of it, and keeping the system modern and adaptive to the modern game. And that's the thing about the internet, right? It exposes everything. Right? Yeah. So for what years was done behind closed doors is now getting called out publicly.
Definitely. But there's so many people out there with great knowledge and great ideas, but they just don't share it.
Yeah.
So I think just having that courage to put yourself out there is a thing in itself. And of course, I'm learning from that as well, because people are maybe pick up with things. They say you know you're going the right track, and people start to criticise you a little more. You see that coming in a lot now as well.
Do you notice that you're getting
different martial arts? I think that'll always be there. Won't it?
Well,
my martial art is better than your martial art.
I just don't care who's better or what. They're all great. They'll all work. They'll all. It's fine. But
it's just come there with a bit of context.
Yeah.
Like if we're doing an exercise, like you might see the hoot drills that we do or whatever to improve kicking. Yeah. That kick will never work. It's not to improve your technique. It's to improve your kicking ability. Just come there with a little bit of context. That's all.
Yeah. But again, I love looking at other systems for ideas. Like I was watching
that's right.
Shotokan stuff, and it's really dirty short kick, and I'm stealing that definitely.
But see, the thing with especially sparring is the things that don't work.
Okay.
We're drilled, for example, you can't step on a side kick.
Yeah.
You can't. So now everybody who's at a decent level knows that,
right?
So now if you step, boom, you catch people by surprise because the rhythm is unusual. So for a while, I kind of went towards throwing in the odd step, foot-to-foot side kick in there, which is a no-no. You can't do that. No, I would still say don't teach it to children. But because it's not expected.
At senior male black belts, I know, right?
It can work, and I've landed it a lot of times.
And do you know what? I say that's even worse psychologically for the opponent. I can't believe I got caught by that. Oh my god! But nobody drills the counter anymore, right? Maybe it's the next step.
But like the rhythm of it is just so unusual. As we talked about a while ago with chunking.
Yeah.
The subconscious in your brain doesn't know that anymore because it's been taken out.
Yeah.
It's considered a bad habit, so people don't do it. So now it has the possibility to work.
To be a good habit. I mean, we see attacking back kick and all this. Don't. But we're seeing it more and more.
For sure.
I've seen some really strange people ducking under side kicks and throwing their hand up.
Yeah.
I mean, these ones are.
There's a fine line between doing the unusual and
doing the downright dangerous.
Not even dangerous, just completely outside the box. Maybe just focus on being a bit more
big time. And I think that's and it's probably one of the problems of things like Instagram and so on, is that people see this and they go, right, that's the one for me. I'm gonna go land a flying 540,
and they can't do a lift and shift side kick and land it with 2 times in a fight. So you got to start with the basics. Everything leads from there. You got to have the solid foundations. If you don't have that, you don't have nothing. It has to lead with that.
And that shouldn't be news to martial artists, right? Like that's been betting to us from white belt.
It's what we are.
It's what we do, right? Repetition and without that, I mean, that whole repetition without repetition is a really interesting concept that I think we should dig into as well. But just on that, it's not news for martial arts to have to train, right, and have to get better and work at things. That's one of the reasons.
Start with the foundation. You have a nice broad base, like we talked about a while ago. Like that's what I'm saying. Where people shouldn't be running for their fitness training in ITF Taekwondo, but maybe it'll give you a nice broad range as an athletic person.
I mean, I think there are certain baselines that people need, regardless of and when you touch that, if you can run 5k at some point, fine, you've established your level, right? Now go train specific, right?
But we're not preparing to train and run 5k when we go on the fight
in 2 minutes.
You know what I mean?
So you're in the wrong sport.
So you got to have that broad base, but it has to become more narrow as you advance.
And do you think a lot of that just comes from sort of, again, traditional, so that I watched Rocky and he ran up the stairs, so I got to run up the stairs?
Maybe, the tradition sometimes can be one of those things that kind of holds you back, and it could be something that stops people from evolving because this is the way.
Right.
There is no other way. But there's many roads to lead to the same destination. Just as I mentioned earlier, like because this is the way I'm going, it's not the only way.
Sure.
We're not the only people getting medals.
That's it.
So there is many ways to get there. I just share my way.
But I think there's value in it, right? I mean, there's value in all perspectives like that. I mean, that just to dive onto that sort of repetition without repetition. That's a catchphrase, a little bit of yours that I've seen.
Not mine, but it comes a lot from the stuff I've been reading, the constraint-led approach and things like that. And it probably comes from that podcast I talked about, the talent equation and places like that. The idea is repetitions with variability. So if we're drilling something like a psychic and you hold the gloves and I'm psychic, that is the same. But now let's train it with variability within it. Different variables in terms of distance, timing, setups, range, tempo. So
you're not just becoming an expert.
Yeah,
on
so
pads.
you're an expert at kicking a pad. You're a world champion on pads. Standing in the one spot, on the toes, lift and kick. You're great at that, but that's not what you're going to do.
No.
You need to compete against an opponent. So that this whole idea of opposed practice is also quite important. Something that we touched on earlier. Like, all the training on your own is fantastic, but it's only going to get you so far. You need to be able to feed off distance and timing and decisions. You need to be actively doing these things. And this only comes from this repetition without repetition. So you're repping the same scenario, or you're facilitating the same thing to happen by the way you constrain, or by the way that you manipulate how the training is designed based on what you think. So you might change the rules, the spacing, what you can and can't do, and this facilitates a certain thing to happen if you think about it well enough. And then, for example, like the exercise we had with the avoiding off the pivot off the line.
That's really cool.
So that puts that into the reality of a sparring match.
And what I like about it is you're step stoning the progression. It's not like 0 to game. You know, you're iteratively solving the problem. By dividing up the solution.
Definitely, you got to have that solid foundation, as we said. You got to have that foundation of the movement pattern. If you don't have the movement pattern and you just throw them in the deep end, for me, I think that it's not going to be as efficient.
But again, if you look at ITF Taekwondo, in what we do, right? If I said to somebody who walked into the class, "Dosan," what? You know, no, you need to teach them one, and you need to teach them step turn, and like we do all of this. It's amazing. We break down the technical fundamentals.
But the problem is sometimes we leave it in the isolation.
But we don't bring it to the to the connection.
Like for me, black belt shouldn't be training isolation drills.
I kind of agree with you that
to an extent. Unless you're really working on something specific. But they should have a solid foundation in their technique at this stage. They should be working on the brain.
Well, I mean, that's at what point does practice or over tactics?
So for me, the earlier you start, it's more technique in terms of movement patterns.
Here are the skills.
Building the skills, and then you gotta transition to using the skills. Right time, putting the right skill in the right position. Like the skill in isolation is fantastic, but you're missing the other things that put it into place.
That make it effective in the scenario you want it to be effective in, right?
So like there has to be things there that are representative to what you're actually doing, and they have to be transferable to the fight. And when we talk about that, we're talking about having opponents, we're talking about game speed, we're talking about making decisions actively. You're trying to complete a task, I'm trying to complete a task. It's when you think about it, it's common sense.
I know, right? It's strange though. I mean, Taekwondo is sometimes viewed as an individual sport. And it's crazy the way when you talk about this, how important that club is now and that team is. So even though you as an individual athlete in sparring or patterns or power or whatever it might be, right? If you don't have that sounding board to develop your skills, those club mates, it becomes very difficult, right? And if not, you know, I won't say. But you know, it's
absolutely like them skills that we talked about, the first 5. Even the idea of distance, timing, footwork, decision making, all these things, they have to be based on another human being.
On an input, you can't do it off the plug.
Like you have to. There's this idea of perception, action, coupling. So what I perceive has to be coupled with an action. And without the perception of another body or human, then I'm missing the whole part of that equation.
I wonder, is that where the old shadow boxing stuff came from? And is there
maybe the whole visualization and things like that, and again that's tradition. People think this is the way you train. You run a lot, you do some shadow boxing, you skip,
you hit the heavy bag, and
you hit the heavy bag, but you don't do any of those things in the ring.
Hang on till I bring my bag in the ring.
There you go. Put your bag in there, punch it, and you see how that works out for you.
I know, right?
So,
well, let's talk briefly about coaching as a coach, right, in a competition environment, because I've seen this, you know, there's a few kind of people when you're sitting in the chair as a coach with a fighter,
cornering
right?
and
such. I mean, we've seen the various different shapes and sizes. They're shouting, pulling all strings to the very quiet kind of just, I'm here because I should sit here. I mean, what's your philosophy on cornering? Where do you stand on that one?
Of course, it's very dependent on someone's personality, but for me personally, I get excited sometimes because I'm so invested. But I feel that it's the correct way, that you should have put in those software brain things in the training, so the people can perform. Your job is to perceive, give them what's working well, and maybe give them something that needs to be adjusted. Especially for the black belts in the 2 minutes, I will always focus on calm the breathing first. Let's bring the breath back down and reduce the heart rate, and then I'm going to give you 2 things that are working well that we need to continue, and then 1 thing that might need an adjustment.
Right.
I'm not going to scream 5,000 things, because you're not going to take any on board.
No.
I'm not
Especially when you're talking about the whole heart rate and not learning and all that.
So, but of course you need to know your fighter as well. There are some people who will need you to be on them.
Get up and go.
Because they'll happily sit back when they might need to push and things like that. So there is that balance. The answer is it depends. You need to know your fighter, you need to know the situation. Some people need different things. I know when I was going out to fight, I liked to be happy and laughing and joking because it made me be in the moment.
And you'd have to,
this flow and natural. This thing we talked about earlier of the implicit learning that you've built up through all that hard training now goes out the window because of the anxiety. What they call choking. So you choke in there because your implicit learning is now out of sync, because your brain is not included in sync with your nervous system.
Where you've always been and where you've always trained and how you've always trained.
So
that's really interesting. I mean, if you look at other systems, I know they do these kind of stress drills where you close your eyes and you shock the system and all. It's really, I mean, that's a really important point that I think often gets missed. Is managing your
comfort levels is a big thing. Like if you see your top level guys and they're chilling, you need to find out how you can change that. And it could be as simple as, how can we make you more uncomfortable here? Ask them the question. And they will give you as good an answer sometimes as you come up with yourself.
I mean, it works the other ways, because I see with people that sometimes competitors, they want to be there, but they feel, I can see it all over their face, they just don't like this, or they're not happy with. They love training and they love the game and they play the game, but then they're onto the mats and it's like, the body language changes. They never move this way, they never fight this way, or they never do their patterns this
because
way.
The implicit learning is out of sync.
Because it's gone, and
because you're not present in the moment. Your mind is worrying about the potential issues, the potential what ifs. What if this guy beats me? What if I win? What if I haven't trained hard enough?
I know, right? And all of that actually doesn't really matter, because you can't kind of control this sort of stuff.
Exactly. But as you say, controllables. What can you control? If you can control it, great. If you can't control it, forget about it.
Exactly. There's nothing you can do about it, right?
You're only worrying about it twice.
What's
that famous quote from Mark Twain? Some of the worst things in my life. So what was it? There's some awful things happen in my life, some of which have happened. Some of the worst things that would happen to you are just in your mind. Because you worry so much and stress. And
that's a really nice
one.
That's a really nice one. I mean, I'm trying to think what else is. Is there anything else there that you can think of that jumps into your head if there was like pet peeve? What's Mr. Forde's pet peeve in ITF Taekwondo, from either a coaching point of view, from a technical point of view, from whatever? What's the one? If you could eliminate one thing, what would it be?
Where would I start? But no, there's a lot of good things in ITF. The coaching level there's a lot of people trying really hard to bring it up.
Absolutely.
And that's the whole idea with what I'm trying to do, is a rising tide will lift all boats.
Great.
If the level here goes up and you bring it up from other people, then the whole standard will lift of ITF Taekwondo. And that's something that I think is very, very important.
I like that philosophy, rather than take away and let's be positive and get up on what we can get on. That's
but there are some things that we could be more efficient with. Just you're with your students a limited amount of time, try and make the most of that time. Ask yourself the question, how is this related to what we're preparing for? Is it similar to what we're preparing for? Is it representative to what we're preparing for? If so, fantastic. If not, maybe readjust. That would be the biggest takeaway, I guess.
Deadly. I mean, so what's the future got in store for Mr. Forde, for the TkdCoachAcademy?
Let's see. For right now, competitive wise, I've taken a big step back from the last Worlds. In my last Worlds 2017. I went into that with the intentions of it being my last as such, for just with my own guys competing, getting to that level now. I don't think I can train the way I need to train, and give them the same. Exactly.
Yeah.
But I've done it for a long time. I've competed at top level for 10 years. I'm happy what I've done. I feel that I'm more passionate about the coaching side of things than competing, especially right now.
Yeah, and that's kind of astute. A lot of people mightn't.
Yeah.
They're just their competitors until they can't be. And then,
yeah, but I do feel that I will compete again at some stage. Maybe a cup or something.
Yeah, or some World Cup will come up, and you know.
Yeah, I feel that I still have something that I want to contribute in terms of maybe
numbers on the boards,
or it's just
on the journey, right? I mean, where it's strange that you can see people who are inconsistently, and then they go on, they compete, and then you see people come in and out and in and out, like myself.
For me, that could be an advantage as well.
Yeah,
because you have to work harder for you to gain the knowledge that some people already have quite easily, which means you're putting yourself in a situation to learn it and develop and adapt more than some people might take for granted. Which is, and it's something that even in training I've always said as well, because some people, they have the natural ability to just throw their leg up there and easily kick headshots all day.
For sure, right?
And other people have to work a little bit harder, and I think that in itself is something that's very beneficial.
Yeah, I mean it's a really interesting problem, right? You know, it definitely has its advantages, and I know I completely agree with that. I know where I have fallen down, what I'm missing that I didn't get over X number of years, you know. And at the same time, I still want to play my game. You know, it's a strange one, you know. And I know I was aspiring through colour belts, no problem. I could play that game at that level at senior kind of colour belts. It's not a hugely elite, like the difference between stepping from senior colour belts to senior black belts is massive, you know. And I found that out very quickly, you know. You can't just walk onto the mats. And it's weird. I wonder about the standard in black belt sparring in Ireland sometimes. That is it. We have loads of black belts in the country, and not I'd say only a small percentage of them are competing. You know. Yeah,
I think that is a slight problem, that the level is so high that anybody who's not competing regularly will not compete at national tournaments, because the standard is so high. Because you have the international guys competing. And if you're not at that level,
you get found out very quickly, you know.
So maybe there needs to be a stepping stone in terms of divisions there, maybe. Or
we've talked about black belt Bs and all of that. You know, I think umpires is what stops that, right?
Sure.
Once you start asking, I'll open the door to black belts Bs, then you know umpires, and then nothing gets done.
But for sure, it is difficult for people who haven't come from that junior phase, coming through, and
very, very, very difficult. You know, I mean, it's a nice eye opener.
Yeah,
there's nothing like my first match black belt level was Adam Shelley.
Ah, well, there you go.
Like, this is a great game. So I'm happy. I got the point. Punch in my face. I'm happy enough that I got my 1 point. I'll take that.
Yeah, there you go.
But anyway, you know, I mean, but it is that transition, and I wonder, because we see it's weird. We see veterans now coming through. I look at veteran sparring and there's people coming in there going, I can play at this level now. Yeah. You know, and I think what's going to happen is all the guys that were senior will go 35, 36, walk in now, and veterans and all the other guys will go, to hell with this again. You know? But well, we'll see.
It's a good problem to have.
It is, like, it's a nice problem, right? Yeah. It's really cool. But I think it really hammers home that focus of if you want to play at that standard, you have to train at that standard kind of consistently, right? It's not about being naive where you can kind of just go, well, I have a black belt. Fine, but I always say this to my students, Taekwondo is very fair that way. Yeah. It's very honest, right? You're either at the standard or you're not, you know, and not like other things where you can kind of spoof it.
It's very black and white, isn't it?
It is. I mean, it's very
much as the suit and the belt.
You know where you stand in many ways. That's kind of why I like competitions as a development point for students. It's very good for self-reflection and self-assessment, you know. I don't put any kind of real emphasis on the outcome of tournaments in my junior grades. I don't.
It's not what it's about. It's about the development.
Yeah, it's about the development. It's about you stepping on and trying to hit your own goals and trying to push the club goals.
Who wants to be the yellow belt champion? That's not a goal of anybody.
No.
The goal is more long term, and that's what creates that culture in your schools and in your clubs. That long term goal and that long term development. If you don't have that focus long term, and it's all about the short term, it's not going to work. And and you see it, and that's why the sort of successful clubs have been around for a long time and are coming through now. It's cool and it's interesting, and I mean, that's Taekwondo. Sometimes you just got to be clever.
Yeah, I know, right? And that's
open-minded and just think about things rationally.
Yeah, deadly. I agree with you 100%. Look, I mean, there's some fantastic talking points in this for me. I don't know what else I can really think about. If people have questions, they can ping them on and then send them on, and make sure you know. Anything you want to plug? Social media?
The usuals, at TkdCoachAcademy and all social media, mostly Instagram. That's mostly where we're at.
Yeah.
Any questions, send them our way. I'm glad to help.
Yeah, cool. Right, that's Mr. Richie Forde. We'll chop up the videos from today and we'll send them up and we'll share them around the world, and we'll get this up at some point and chop it up. Nothing else from me. If you like the videos, give them a share and a subscribe and all of that, and we'll go from there. And yeah, that's that. Thanks very much, sir. I'll see you soon. Lovely. Rock and roll. Take care. Cheers.